Hey housemate friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Turn that off for now. My name is Ashley and you're watching Planting Ashley. This is my YouTube channel where I talk about houseplants, and I have my cat. Say hi, Raven. Raven is very good. Today I'm going to tell you about my current favorite houseplants. So that would be my favorite houseplants for the month of April so far. These are plants that I've been enjoying exceptionally more than my other ones, and enough that I wanted to talk to you about them. Before we jump into all my favorite plants, I want to thank Zimph so much for sponsoring this video. Zimph is where I get all of my glasses. Oh, thank you for the hug. Zimph is where I get all of my glasses. That pair you see me wearing all the time that I'm not wearing right now, that is called Aphrodite. This one is Hecate, but I love this one so much. This one is so cute. I'm a very big fan of like tortoiseshell and gold together, but I also brought this other pair to show you, and this is called Prime, and I really like this pair. These are my close-up glasses, and they're a blue tortoise shell. So if you're interested in seeing even more of my favorite glasses, in my link tree there is a link to a full list of all of my favorite glasses that I have gotten from Zimph. So they're all glasses that I have personal experience with, and I highly recommend you check it out. If you do decide to check out what you've checked out, make sure you use code Ashley or use code AshleyL30 for 50% off frames, 20% off lenses, and also 30% off your entire order. Thank you so much, Zimph, for sponsoring this video, and let's go ahead and get into the content. I'm gonna put my hair up because it's just kind of in my way. I don't know if you guys are claw clip girlies, but I 100% am. First thing we're gonna talk about is actually sitting right next to me, and that is going to be my peace lily. This is my peace lily, and I love her. I wish that I had given her a name, but I haven't. However, she has been a little neglected lately by me because peace lilies just require so much attention, and I'm inherently bad at giving my plants attention, which is why I keep all of my plants in big old cabinets. So I actually don't even have to think about them at all. But I really like my peace lily for the fact that it has these super big leaves and it takes up a lot of space. I feel like I am really into statement plants right now. For example, I have like a 75-year-old ponytail palm over in the corner of my house. It takes up at least 8 feet, like in diameter. It is so massive, and it's just there because I like that it takes up the space. I'm really into bigger plants right now. I actually used to have 2 of these, but I actually did recently get rid of one of them. I felt like having 2 of them was too much for me to like accurately give care to both of them. Like you can see some of these leaf ends are crispy, and they have a little bit of like yellowing around the sides, so there's definitely room for me to improve when it comes to caring for my peace lilies. If you do want your peace lilies to grow faster than they are, I really recommend cutting off their flowers. I think if you have pets, you should cut them off regardless anyways, because loose and XX pollen aren't really good for your pets. In this case, I cut off the flowers because when plants are flowering, they actually grow less. They grow slower. So if you want your plants to grow faster, make sure you're always cutting off the flowers. The only plants I have that flower that I don't cut off are orchids, because duh, or Hoya. Whenever my Hoyas flower, I just let them flower because they're really cute. They look like candy. The next plant on my list is also behind me, and that is going to be my Monstera deliciosa. My Monstera deliciosa I have right now is from my friend Devin. He was getting a different one, and so, or not a different one, but a different plant. He decided to get a pretty large fiddly fig, and so that left, there was no room in his house for it. So he was like, do you want this Monstera? And I was like, yeah. Yes, I do. The last time I had Monstera was just about over a year ago, and I had a massive wall of Monstera. However, I kind of got depression, and I just knew that I was going to end up neglecting my Monstera, so I ended up giving them away for free to a bunch of local plant girlies. I literally just was like, hey, come and pick up, first come, first serve, and I got rid of all 6. There was 6 massive Monstera that I had in my collection. It's really sad that they're gone, but now I have at least one. It's in the same spot as the other ones were, and it's also extra special to me because it's from my dear friend Devin, and I really like Devin, so. Monstera I find are really easy to grow across multiple climates. For example, my Monstera is growing in like 43% humidity in here, which is pretty high. It jumped up because the canal actually just filled up with water, and literally on the other side of my house is a canal, and it's an irrigation canal. It's not like a natural river. But yeah, there's literally, I'm probably less than 50 feet away from like a massive canal. So the humidity's jumped up recently because of that, which is super nice. And I actually don't know, little tangent, but like, is it getting nice where you guys are at? Because yesterday we had an 80-degree day and it's been raining and like cold. And I love the rain, like don't get me wrong, I seriously love the rain, but we had a really nice day yesterday. It was even like it was warm until the evening, so I'm really excited for spring. Next one I want to talk about is my Hoya Karnosa compacta, and no, this is not the same one that you've seen me have in older videos. This is actually an entirely new one. I have had this plant for maybe 2 or 3 months now, and it is a replacement for the one I lost to depression. Actually, I think a lot of these plants are kind of like replacements. The plant my mother bought for me, they happen to have them at a local store in town in Boise called Greenscape Boutique. Hoya Karnosa compactas being offered for like this big, just locally in general, is incredibly hard to find. When one was being offered local, my mom was like, do you want this? I'll buy it for you to replace the one that you lost because I know that you loved it so much and I feel like you need to pick me up. And I was like, yes, of course. So she Venmo'd me the money and I went and picked it up, and it is so beautiful. It's actually growing all 4 stems right now. We got a new red leaf there. I was actually kind of concerned because the plant itself didn't seem like it was gonna be too variegated, but these leaves that are coming in are super variegated. Like super, super, super crazy variegated. So very excited. This was a really good buy. This one I keep right above my humidifier, and I don't know if it's just by coincidence, but it has started growing like wild ever since I started running my humidifier again, now that it's getting a little bit more warm out. Yeah, it's growing really, really nicely. My other one, I don't think I actually got to grow that much because they had cut off all the ends. Like where the place that I had bought it from, all of the ends got cut. So there was no active growth points. Like this one has a bunch of active growth points. I love this plant. Let me know if you love this plant too. Most people have these in a smaller size as they take years to grow. And because they take years to grow, these are generally pretty expensive. My mother bought this for me for $150. So it was very expensive, but it was a very, very nice gift. And it definitely lifted my spirits. This is probably my favorite plant in my whole collection right now. It is the most beautiful one in my opinion. I just love how mystical it looks. So yeah. I don't know. Hoya Karnosa compacta variegata. I love it very much. Very, very, very much. The next plant we're going to talk about is actually going to be my Hoya Matilde. Here is my little Hoya Matilde. It is in a rain pot. I can't remember the name of this potter. It's Rain Ceramics, I'm almost positive. It's so cute. This is just my favorite thing in the world. So I feel like part of the reason it's my favorite plant is because it's in a Rain Ceramics pot and it's just so, it's like so chibi and cute. But this plant is finally growing for me. This is a plant I have had for 2 years and it has hardly grown for me at all. And then all of a sudden, a couple weeks ago, it started putting out new leaves. So we have quite a few new stems and leaves coming in. Like this whole thing right here is active and growing, so is this one. It has some peduncles now, which is very exciting. This is a whole brand new stem right here, like that these leaves are attached to. This one as well, 2 little baby leaves coming in on there. I call it throwing hands. When new plants are growing in, I refer to it as throwing hands because it looks like their little hands are up in the air. They're like, woo! Which is probably a term you haven't heard for a really long time on this channel if you have been on this channel for a while. I don't know, it's adorable. They're throwing hands! You know, and it's funny because it sounds like you're fighting. I don't know, I love it. This plant I have done hardly anything for. It just sits in this pot, which has no drainage, and I water it whenever the leaves start to get a little pliable. Like whenever you kind of feel like you could bend it in half without the Hoya leaf breaking is when I'll water this one. And by the way, not saying that I'm like the queen of knowing how to take care of plants because I definitely have a long way to go. This one definitely doesn't need as much water as like a Piscine would, for example. And I find that this one needs less water than my Hoya Karnosa compacta does, actually. So Hoya Matilde, this one is actually Hoya Matilde Splash or Spot because of all the cute little spots on it. I don't know, I think it's adorable. The next plant on my list is actually one that I kind of need to water. Well, I guess actually no, it's pretty full. This is Hoya Curtisia. And I don't know, this video I think is coming out before my pets video, but by the way, all Hoyas are non-toxic. So literally any of these plants that I'm seeing that are Hoya or saying are Hoya, you can actually own safely with any pet. They're just not toxic in general. So this is Hoya Curtisia. It might kind of look to you like a string of pearls, but it actually has these very tiny penny size little splashy leaves. This plant was incredibly popular back when the houseplant boom kind of kicked off. People would get these from the store and they'd cut off all the strands and then they would sell the strands. And I was one of the people that would do that. And it's actually really great because of the fact that they have all these aerial roots. You can literally like cut it and then just put it on like a wet napkin and ship it. And the plant won't die because of all the aerial roots. They'll actually start to root and grow, and then you'll grow your whole plant from there, which is really cool. I love that it just looks like a bunch of hanging coins. I have a thing for plants that look like little chain link necklaces. I just think that they add something to your space that you really wouldn't find in other plants. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my peace lily, right? But this does not look as whimsical as this. I really like my plants to look whimsical and fun, and this one doesn't need a whole lot of water as the leaves are so small. And so what I do is probably about once a month I give this one like a really deep watering, and I wait for it to be kind of pliable. These ones down here are kind of softer than the ones up top. I'll probably want to water this one within the next week, I think. This is Hoya Curtisia, and I love it very much. It is very fancy. The next plant on my list is going to be Syngonium Albopotaphylum, and I actually don't have this one growing out in my area. This one grows in my IKEA Millsbow, not in my IKEA Red Stuff. Syngonium Albopotaphylum is a plant that whenever I see it in a store or I see it in a purge, I want to buy it. There's something to me about Syngonium Albopotaphylum that I've just always kind of been obsessed with ever since I got into plants in 2019. There's just something about how quick they grow, how easy they are to propagate, and I love how white they are. I like a variety of Syngonium. Back when I first got into Syngonium, I didn't like anything except for the Syngonium Albopotaphylum. But now I actually have a variety. I really like lance leaf Syngonium as well. The Syngonium Albopotaphylum just has some magic to it that I have always been attracted to. I don't know if it's the fact that there's pink petioles or every single leaf shape is gorgeous. Even the ones that revert when you get like full green Syngonium Albopotaphylum, there's just something about it I just really love. So, hi. She said it's my turn for attention. Yeah, I love you. This is a plant that I'm very likely to trade for, even though I already have some. If someone wanted a plant of mine, if someone wanted a plant of mine and the only thing they had to trade me for was Syngonium Albopotaphylum, even if it was a small cutting, like I would be down. I love the plant so much. They grow very easily. However, you need to make sure that you give them enough humidity, because when I first had my Syngonium Albopotaphylums, they would never grow. Since putting them in a Millsbow or Red Stuff, they grow like crazy. So I really recommend this plant. It's very good for beginners, especially if you're wanting something that has some white on it. So 100% recommend. The next plant I want to tell you about is Zomafolia Chameleon. That is going to be this plant, and this plant is actually a little bit different than the other ZZs that you might be used to seeing, and that is because it's actually minty. I don't know why they call it chameleon, because it's really just minty, but I love this plant so much. I love minty leaves. They are probably one of my favorite aspects a plant can have, especially a lot lately. I used to not be very into minty stuff, but lately minty leaves are like my thing. And I saw this at Home Depot and I had to get it. It was just like love at first plant. And look, it's actually pregnant. It's putting out a whole new stem right now. This guy right here. Oh! That is so cute. ZZ plants are notorious for doing really well. Notorious is probably a bad word. They're famous for doing really well in lower light conditions. So if you have kind of like a darker apartment or darker house, this plant will still do good. That doesn't mean that you should put this plant in a room and then close the door and turn off the lights because it won't do good with no light. Low light does not mean no light. This plant will do really good in almost any condition. People call it a plant of steel, so I do recommend this plant as well if you are a beginner and you're looking to get into some more fun plants. There's so many plant varieties out now that I wish I had when I first got into plants because there's so many more things. Oh my gosh. I just love it. Oh my god! I water it like a little bit here and there. These plants are hard to know when to water because they do so good without water. They actually have bulbs underneath the soil that looks like big old potatoes. This is, I'm gonna call it ZZ Mint. I don't really care that it's called a chameleon. This is a mint to me. This is a minty ZZ. A mint Z, if you will. The next plant on my list is actually going to be my variegated string of hearts. This is a plant I keep in this cute little terrarium, and the plant actually goes on my grow light table. So there's a tabletop on the top, and then underneath that is a tray, like a steel enforced tray that I'll bottom water from. And this plant is gorgeous. I adore how mystical this plant looks. Like I kind of said earlier, I really want plants that bring a magic feel into my home. And this plant definitely does that. I am so obsessed with how delicate the leaves are. I love the white, the pink, and the green colors together. It's just, it's so good. Like it doesn't really get better than this. Like just look at that. That's so beautiful. Here's a close-up of all of the beautiful leaves. You can see the greens and the pinks together. Oh, it's just so cute. It's peeing on me though. This plant is a little harder to take care of than the other ones I've told you about so far. This one needs quite a good amount of light to really do well. People will usually put this plant in their window, which will make the sides of it grow really well, but if the top isn't getting even light, then the top will kind of like go bald. This plant does do better from bottom watering, but I found that if you give an appropriate amount of like top heavy light, it will do really good with top watering too. This plant in specific is top watered and it's not balding in any one spot yet. This is also a rescue save that I had. I had a different plant altogether, but it wasn't doing good well. It wasn't doing really well, so I actually unpotted it and I stuck it in here, which kind of increases how warm it is in here because it's like a little greenhouse, and it also magnifies the light, and I don't know, it's just done really well. I have another one of these that's actually not in this kind of enclosure, and it does not do as well as this one. So variegated string of hearts, Serrapegia woodii variegata, very adorable. I'm truly obsessed, and I hope you are too. This is one of the only common plants that is still really kind of like expensive in comparison, next to the Hoya Karnosa compacta variegata. It's one of the only ones that's still like kind of pretty expensive, I think. The second to last plant on our list is going to be my variegated money tree. So this is a plant I got in my big box store video that I posted the other day, and it had a lot more leaves, like you're not crazy, but I decided to cut off a lot of the green leaves so that I could give the variegated leaves more of a chance to shine. And so what we have are these super green and yellow variegated leaves, and they are so beautiful. I have been looking for a variegated money tree for a really long time. They are still way too expensive to even think about purchasing for me. So the only way for me to ever really get one is to find one. Most people really like the white version of this plant, green and white variety, but I'm actually like, I couldn't be happier that I found one that is yellow, like an Hoya variegated one. It's just so beautiful. I'm so obsessed. There are leaves on here that aren't variegated, but this whole stem right here is variegated. So anything that comes off of this stem in specific will be variegated. It's even variegated like on the stem itself. So I love this plant. It's so cute. It's very new, but I feel like you can obviously tell why this is one of my favorite plants. So I don't know, I hope you like it too. It took forever to find this thing. I've been looking for like 2 years. Variegated money tree. Schefflera something or other. The final plant on my list of my favorite houseplants is actually going to be my Philodendron Brazil. So this is my Philodendron Brazil, and I have had this plant now for a few months and it has really taken off. I mean, this thing has grown in so well. The back half is a little bald, so this is the part that doesn't face the window, but the entire rest of the plant that does is like every part that sees the window light is just like popping off, and all of the new leaves have like some red on them from sun stressing as they come in. This is one of my favorite plants to watch grow. It requires like almost next to nothing from me, and it just does its own thing, and it lives its happy little life. Like, it's so full and luscious. Here, look at this one. This is a 50% leaf. Like, that is so beautiful. This one in particular has some seriously beautiful leaves. Not just that one, but quite a few others that stood out to me. I feel like this is one, oh yeah, like look at this whole section right here is like super yellow, if not completely yellow leaves on all sides. It's just so freaking beautiful. I love, 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 love Philodendron Brazil. And this plant I used to really not like. I didn't like this plant actually until I went and visited my friend Harley's house. And she has one, or had one, I haven't been there in a really long time, but she had one hanging off of her TV mantle. And it was so massive. It was just like, I saw it in real life and I fell in love with it in a way that I didn't think I would ever be able to. Generally, I'm not a fan of, I don't want to say I'm not a fan of common plants, because I clearly like a whole lot of common plants, but I have never really been one for the kind of like pothos-y ones. Like, for example, I really don't like any pothos. The only one I actually own and take care of reliably is my global green pothos, and that's because it's like yellow on green variegation, which, like I told you before, I'm obsessed with. And that is what the Brazil is as well, is like yellow and green variegation. So yeah, I don't know. I adore this plant. It gets bright, direct south-facing light, and it gets ambient south-facing light for the rest of the day. It's right above my humidifier, so it gets tons of humidity, and it just grows so fast. This thing is such a fast grower. I haven't even had it for that long. I don't know, maybe 3 months, and it was so tiny when I first got it. It was barely hanging over the side, and now it's got these massive vines. So if you like fast growers, I definitely recommend this one. And I think that that's actually going to be it for my favorite plants this month. I'm kind of surprised at my own picks, because generally I'm way more into rarer plants and harder to find plants. This month it's really been like, I don't know, I feel like this is gonna be common plant summer. There's just so many wonderful plants to find, and they're also affordable. Rare plants are also way more affordable than they used to be, but right now the common plants are like, they're kind of taken over. Thank you so much for watching my cute little video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and tell me what your favorite plants are this month. I'd love to hear. Maybe I'll add something to my list. Let me know a little bit of your wish list as well, like maybe your top 3 wish list plants. And thank you so much to Zimp for sponsoring this video. Make sure to go check out in my link tree the list of all my favorite glasses, and if you check out what you checked out, make sure that you use code Ashley to get 50% off frames and 20% off lenses, or code AshleyL30 to get 50% off your entire order. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you, Zim, for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you guys in the next houseplant section. Goodbye.